BNEWS Weekly. I'm Brad Bond in for Phil Gallagher. To the news. Well, the Burlington town election is 1 week away, and we here at BNews are working hard to bring you the latest election news. This week, the Council on Aging held their annual candidate forums, and BNews was there to tape all the action. BNews Director Rich Hosford has this update from our election center.
The contested races in the Burlington town election are entering the last week of campaigning, and this week the candidates answered questions from audience members at the Senior Center for the 2019 Council on Aging Candidate Forum, moderated by Kevin Sullivan. Up first were Carol Perna and Micah Spejo, the two candidates vying for the one open seat on the planning board currently held by Perna. There was questions about a building moratorium, how the town might move forward on building more sidewalks and a bike path, and the need for more affordable housing. Each candidate was also given an opportunity for opening and closing statements. Next came the three candidates for the two open seats on the Board of Selectmen, incumbents Chris Hartling and Bob Hogan, and challenger Nick Priest. The candidates were asked questions about parking at the Senior Center, what their priorities would be if elected, whether or not they are associated with a political party, and what they can do to help seniors who are finding it difficult to stay in their homes. The audience also heard from two of the three candidates for constable. Incumbent William Pepicelli and challenger Dennis Otis talked about their experience that makes them qualified for the job and answered a couple of questions about the role of constable. Finally, there was a debate between representatives of the yes and no side of the ballot question that is asking whether the treasurer-collector position should be changed from an elected to an appointed position. Sally Willard represented the vote yes side and Phil Gallagher the vote no side. They each made strong arguments and answered questions from the audience. You can find all the videos from the candidate forum and the ballot question debate on our website at bcattv.org/bnews. Just click the Town Election 2019 widget on the left-hand side of the screen. One more piece of election news. You can help the people in need as you perform your civic duty. During the election, People Helping People will be holding a food drive for the Burlington Food Pantry. This time of year, donations are not as frequent as during the holidays, and there is a big need at the pantry. Items needed include cereal, oatmeal, pasta sauce, vegetable oil, canned fruit, canned tomatoes, basmati rice, canned spinach, beets, potatoes, bags of sugar, baby wipes, diapers, boxes of tissues, and toilet paper. The election will be held on Saturday, April 6th in the Burlington High School Gymnasium from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford in our Election Center, and now back to you, Brad, in the studio.
Thanks, Rich. Well, this will be disappointing news for all of us looking to work on our lawns now. Burlington Department of Public Works Director John Sanchez wants to remind residents that for the time being, the full watering ban is still in effect. Yeah, I know. The DPW director was at Monday night's Board of Selectmen meeting to give them and the public an update on the reasons for the ban. He said the current iteration of the ban was put into effect in December of last year after the town declared a water emergency to handle issues with maintenance and repairs on the town's water systems. During the work, the town needed to connect to the MWRA water supply through Lexington, and the Department of Environment Protection says that to declare an emergency, the town must also impose a full outdoor watering ban. Sanchez said the ban can be lifted by the Board of Selectmen and that he will make that recommendation in late April or early May. The reason for the delay, he explained, is that the department is looking to do work on the Mill Pond Reservoir, and while that is underway, they need to restrict watering to ensure there's enough water for regular use. Further, he said the later in the spring they can do the work, the better, as it is needed on a regular basis. Doing it too early, he said, would mean that they would need to do it again in August and therefore restrict watering in the heat of summer. So a few weeks away. Burlington residents and businesses will soon see an increase in their sewer bills. On Monday evening, the Board of Selectmen voted to approve new sewer rates with incremental increases for the next 2 years. The first of the increases, set at 4%, will go into effect this July 1st. DPW Director John Sanchez said the increase was needed to meet the cost associated with joining the MWRA and the fact that rates had not been increased since 2013. Last year, the board approved an increase in the water rates for similar reasons. Sanchez said the sewer rate increase will be modest when applied to the average resident's bill, with most seeing less than a $16 per year rise in what they owe. For example, he said the minimum yearly cost for water and sewer service, which affects 36% of residential customers, will go from $163 to $171 per year. Burlington's average user at 61,000 gallons per year would see an increase from $335 to only $351 per year. Sanchez said that despite the increase, Burlington's rates for water and sewer fall below, sometimes well below, other towns in the area. Using a comparison of 90,000 gallons per year, he provided the board with some examples. At that level of usage, a Burlington customer would pay $631 for the year with the new rate. At that usage, a Bedford resident would pay $2,072, and a Winchester customer would pay $648. A Waltham resident would pay $1,122, and a Lexington resident would pay an exorbitant $1,637. The only municipality listed with a lower rate is Woburn, who, in the example usage amount, would have residents paying $586. Members of the Board of Selectmen said they were happy to know that even with this rate increase, Burlington is still less expensive than most area communities. Well, it seems like scams are an ever-present part of modern life, and we here at BNews report on new or re-emerging scams almost every week. To help combat scams by preventing them from succeeding in the first place, Middlesex District Attorney Marian Ryan was at the Burlington Senior Center this week to give some tips on spotting scams and how to avoid becoming a victim. BNews Director Rich Hosford was there and has this report.
Every day, thousands of people are contacted by scammers looking to take their money and steal their personal information, and some percentage of those scams work and trick victims into handing over what is rightfully theirs. Either by phone or in person, scam artists are hard at work, and law enforcement often can't get people their money back after they've been victimized. With that in mind, authorities are trying to educate the public about how to avoid falling for scams in the first place. To that goal, Middlesex District Attorney Marian Ryan was at the Burlington Senior Center to give the audience tips on how to spot scams and what to do if they feel like something just doesn't feel right.
We really do this to educate people to better protect themselves. Our goal is not just to prosecute somebody and try to get their resource back, but to cause people not to lose those resources in the first place. So by just giving people some tips on how they can protect themselves against phone scams, the in-person scams, they can really avoid ever giving up their resources.
Part of the reason to work diligently to get information out to people is because the number of scams reported to authorities keeps on growing.
These scams are everywhere, and people get any number of calls a day. And, you know, unfortunately, especially people now who are over the age of 60, lots of them have a lot of resources. The value of their house increased greatly. They might have some pension money or Social Security money, and they're easy prey for lots of these things.
So what are some clear signs that something is a scam?
Anybody who's asking you to send them gift cards, anybody who's asking you to send money, cash, someplace, anybody who's really pressuring you to do something quickly. You know, if you don't do this, your Social Security benefits won't come, your credit card won't work, those kinds of things. Those are all indications that it's not going to go well.
One hallmark of a scam is pressure to act immediately. DA Ryan says that if you are being pressured or made to feel scared by someone, you should slow down, take a breath, and think about the situation clearly.
Nothing is ever going to expire in 5 minutes. So if you really think you might be interested, but you might be being pressured, just put the person off, call the police department, and check it out.
Finally, scammers are clever and will play a long game with people, and part of how they make scams work is by collecting information, sometimes just in conversation, that they will use later to make people trust them or believe them.
So people need to think of their personal information really broadly. It isn't just your bank account number or your Social Security. It's the kinds of things that can be used to ensnare you when somebody calls with a scam. So, for instance, giving out the names of your grandchildren or where your grandchildren go to school, that kind of thing. Then when you get a call that references that information, it serves its purpose to distract you and make you nervous and thinking about sending the money when you don't realize you might have innocently given that information away in a conversation.
From the Burlington Senior Center, I'm BNews Director Rich Hosford.
Wow, let's be careful out there. Thanks, Rich. Well, the Planning Board heard a plan to preserve a historic building that a previous proposal had called to be, the building had been called to be torn down to make room for a new office building. Attorney Thomas Murphy was before the Planning Board for a special permit proposal at 336 Cambridge Street, which is the White House just past LaCacha's heading toward Billerica. The parcel was purchased and is now subdivided with an ID industrial zoning. The property was once part of the larger parcel behind the house, which includes 128 Electric. Built in 1820, the structure falls into a non-conforming grandfathered use and is currently being used as a 3-unit residence and a dentist office. The applicant is looking to restore the building with additions to the front and side of the building for egress to the living units. The plan also calls for refurbishing the interior, creating a professional office space, and adding 9 parking spots. Prior to Thursday night's meeting, Murphy appeared before the Burlington Historical Commission and presented the proposal. He reported to the planning board that historical commissioners were happy the plan calls for saving the house. Planning Director Kristen Kasner said that this was the first plan to come forward that would keep the building intact. Others had proposed demolition. Historical Commissioner Michael Trudeau addressed the board on behalf of the Historical Commission and said the commissioners are pleased to see the historical character of the building being maintained. Trudeau went on to inform the board that the commission has a public hearing scheduled for a demolition delay of the 128 Electric location, which has a barn also dating back to 1830. The property, he said, was part of the original Reed Ham Works farm. He said overall the project looks promising, but there might not be much hope for the barn. Murphy informed the board that staff would receive a more accurate site plan on the project for review. The matter was continued to the planning board meeting taking place on April 4th. Well, the Burlington Fire Department added 2 new members to its ranks this past Monday night. At the Board of Selectmen meeting, Town Administrator Paul Sagarino appointed firefighter paramedics Austin Arsenault and Mitchell Cunningham as the newest members of the department. He said he believed the board would be very pleased with 2 very strong candidates they were looking to appoint that evening before turning things over to Fire Chief Steve Yetman to introduce the new recruits. Yetman said that Arsenault, a Burlington resident who graduated from Shawshene Tech, has been an emergency medical technician since 2015. He received his paramedic certification last year and is currently a security supervisor at McLean Hospital. He also works for Pride Star Ambulance. Yetman said Cunningham is an Arlington resident who received his emergency medical technician certification in 2016 and has also earned his paramedic certification last year. He has worked for Armstrong Ambulance for 3 years, first as an EMT and then as a paramedic once he was certified. The board voted to waive the normal 15-day waiting period for both new hires. Well, welcome to the fire department. And there's plenty to do. Oh, I skipped a page. The Burlington Library held their final speaker for the 2019 Burlington Reads Program of the Year. This year's topic was the civil rights movement, Ivan Espinoza Madrigal, who came in to talk to residents about the history of civil rights and active hate crimes that keep occurring in our country. BNEWS reporter Robert Paris was there and has this look.
From 1954 through 1968, political activist groups marched and rallied to accomplish goals of legal rights for African Americans, end racial segregation, disenfranchisement, and discrimination. This was known as the Civil Rights Movement. Turned to the present day, various acts of hate crimes are happening once again. This week, the Burlington Public Library held their final Burlington Reads Presenter of 2019, Ivan Espinoza Madrigal, Executive Director of Lawyers for Civil Rights.
I am at the Burlington Public Library as part of Burlington Reads to talk about modern day civil rights struggles and what are some of the things that are happening around the country with respect to communities of color, immigrant communities, and other vulnerable populations that are experiencing a wave of hate crimes, a wave of immigration enforcement, and also other challenges.
This organization has been actively helping people for over 50 years.
At Lawyers for Civil Rights, we've been doing this type of work for a very long time. We were founded in 1968 at the height of the civil rights movement, so we just celebrated our 50th anniversary here in Massachusetts. Our work is statewide, and we've done a significant amount of work to make sure that the most vulnerable members of our communities feel protected.
Finally, the library hoped residents took away the importance of civil rights and how it is still effective in the United States.
Civil rights, even though it was a time in history, it's something that we should be constantly aware of and working towards improving situations of individuals within any age type, gender type, lifestyle, whatever. And We like to think in the library that we welcome all, and I think that this dovetails nicely with our mission.
I think it's important for people to keep thinking about what are more creative and innovative ways for us, even in a progressive state like Massachusetts, to be coming out in front of many of these things. And so these are some of the issues that we will be discussing and some of the things that I want people to be actively thinking about. Whether or not people are interested in each of these things, that's for them to decide. The important thing is for people to be active and involved, regardless of their political viewpoint. Find an issue that you're passionate about and champion it. I think that's the important message tonight.
From the Burlington Public Library, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Weekly.
Thanks, Robert. Well, there's plenty to do all year round in Burlington, thanks to Parks and Recreation's various special events and programs. This year marks the start of their Passport to Burlington program, which should encourage residents to get out and enjoy all that Burlington has to offer. BNews reporter Chris Flaherty spoke to Parks and Rec Director Brendan Eakin about this new program and has this report.
For over 50 years, Parks and Recreation has been keeping citizens of Burlington active with their multitude of events and programs. This year marks the debut of their new Passport to Burlington program.
The idea for the Passport to Burlington came about from our program staff, looking at different ways to engage the community in our programs, going out to our parks and public facilities, and also to come and take part in our special events, and really was able to be done through a community grant from Target, in which we were able to purchase the supplies and do the advertising and these great passports. So, we really want to encourage people to learn more about Burlington, not only our parks and facilities, but also our special events, and learn about Burlington through the Parks and Recreation Department.
People wishing to participate in the program can pick up a passport at the Parks and Rec office and start their expedition by collecting stamps at various locations throughout town and special Parks and Recreation events throughout the year.
You're taking this passport around to those locations, those special events, and finding the lockbox. Inside is a stamp, so then you'll stamp your passport at each of those events. People that once they collect over 10 stamps, they'll be entered into a drawing at different levels. Depending on the number of stamps you collect, you will be entered into a drawing for a prize at that level.
The Parks and Rec Department want the public to know what they should do if they come across a lockbox and find no stamp inside.
We understand, we're leaving these boxes out in our parks and at locations. Hopefully no one messes around with them, but if they do arrive at a box and there's no stamp inside, the box is left open, we just ask them to let us know. We do have extra stamps that we can put out. So if people get there, arrive at a site where there's supposed to be a box, they can't find it or they find it damaged, just give us a call at the Parks and Recreation Department and we'll come out and make sure the stamp gets replaced.
Through this new program, residents can discover all that Burlington and Parks and Rec have to offer throughout the year and enjoy a day or two out in the community.
Spending time with your family on the weekend or after work, getting out and exploring Burlington and everything that Burlington has to offer. Good family events, good community events, feel-good events, making sure people are allowing people that time to be together and to do something fun that's non-stressful, non-competitive, and really to explore Burlington and see what it's all about for those that may be new to the community, or we've even had people say, I didn't know that was there, and they've gone through the passport and found some pretty cool places.
Until next time, this is Chris Flaherty for BNews Weekly.
Great program. Thanks, Chris. Well, the dedicated Marshall Simons Middle School students in the Teen Light Charity Club were back before the Board of Selectmen this week to once again ask for use of the town common for their 11th annual fundraising fun walk. Teen Light is a community service program that develops young leaders and promotes community service while raising awareness about issues affecting teens. Each year, the club chooses a cause and raises money throughout the year to help teens in need. In the program's first 10 years, Teen Light has raised approximately $120,000 to help teens struggling with depression, child abuse, bullying, autism, poverty, mental health issues, and illnesses such as cancer. This year, their mission is to raise awareness and money in support of teens and children struggling with depression, anxiety, and other mental health issues. Members of the Board of Selectmen said they were very impressed by students who participate in Teen Light and pointed to them as examples of what the Burlington community does right in terms of raising its children to be thoughtful, compassionate, and hardworking individuals. They unanimously approved the use of the town common for Saturday, June 1st for a 5K walk. Registration will start at 10:30 a.m. and the walk will start at 11 a.m. Following the walk, there will be an after party with various activities, including live music, a dunk tank, and a bouncy house. There will also be carnival food and drinks. Sounds like a fun time. Well, during the annual Burlington Area Chamber of Commerce Spring Soiree, an event meant to give chamber members a nice evening of food, drink, raffles, and conversation, one of the event organizers was in for a surprise himself. State Rep Ken Gordon took a few moments of the evening's proceedings to present BACC President Rick Parker with a commendation from the Massachusetts House of Representatives. The commendation read, "Be it hereby known to all that the House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Rick Parker in recognition of his 5 years of tenacious support for the Burlington business community." In an interview after the event, Gordon said he wanted to present Parker with a commendation for his accomplishment for the Burlington business community. In particular, he said he wanted to recognize the results Parker has had in working with the Route 3 Coalition to set up a public transport system between Burlington and Lowell to bring in much-needed restaurant workers. As for himself, Parker said he was humbled by the recognition and pointed to the teamwork among many people and entities as the source of the Chamber's success. Parker said that the work is rewarding, especially because the focus is often helping those with a need, be they students, nonprofits, or the Burlington community as a whole. He explained that when his kids were younger, he was involved in youth sports and had a good connection with the community that he felt waned a bit when they grew older. Now he said he's back working for a town he loves. Thanks for all the work and congratulations, Mr. Parker. And it's officially spring, but winter temps have been maintaining a grasp on the area. To see if this is about to change, we go to BNEWS weatherman Peter Brown in our weather center for the latest forecast. We'll also check out the community calendar with Maddie Shipka to see what's happening in Burlington.
Well, hello everyone, and this is Peter Brown with a look at your weather for the next 7 days. And here we are at the very tail end of March, looking into April already. I know the time is really flying by, and hopefully we'll be leaving winter far in the distance in the rearview mirror. Now, starting out up here on Friday, we're going to see temperatures, look at this, way up in the upper 50s. That's what we're expecting to start out our week, so that's really great news for anybody who likes the mild weather and has been waiting for this type of weather to be coming in. It'll be well above our average high that's usually around 49 or 50 at this time of the year. And not going to be too far away from these record highs, especially as we get into maybe the Saturday time frame. Looks like, unfortunately, it's going to be a little bit cooler on Saturday than we were originally projecting, and we'll be showing that in a little bit, but still going to be really, really nice and temperature-wise this weekend. And, of course, as we end out the period, getting in towards the middle of the first week of April, you see our average highs are supposed to be in the low 50s, and it looks like it's going to be pretty much average as we get towards the end of the period. So nothing too warm, but definitely nothing really cold either. And of course, as you notice right here, our sunsets are now after 7 o'clock, so we have some really nice, great long days as we head on towards and into spring. As we go ahead, we're going to take a look a little bit at some of our temps and precip looking out for the next 7 days or so. And according to the Climate Prediction Center, it looks like up here in the Burlington area and the rest of most of southern New England, we're going to be looking at the chance of above average precipitation. Now, fortunately, with the temperatures that we're going to be looking at, that doesn't look like it's going to be coming in the form of snow. So that's a really good sign. Get a little bit more rain out there, fill up our reservoirs before we start heading in towards the summer in a few months. As we go ahead, let's take a look at what the temperature outlook is going to be for the next week or so here in the Burlington area. Now, it looks like in our area here, it's going to be about average, maybe a slight chance of us being a little bit above average, and you'll see that reflected in temperatures in the next couple of days to start out our period. But it looks like most of the country, though, if you're traveling really anywhere to our west here, except for the west coast, it looks like they're going to be seeing very, very far below average temperatures. So going to be kind of chilly if you're heading out to the central part of the country. And of course, if you're heading out to the West Coast, always warm out there in Southern California, and that's going to be no exception as we go on through the next 10 days or so. Now let's take a look at some of that weather and some of those great temps that we're going to be expecting here in the Burlington area for the next 7 days. Again, starting on Friday, we're going to see the chance of some spotty showers moving through the area. But again, temperatures well up into the 50s, so that's going to be really nice. And as a coincidence, if you're going to be out shopping or at all, going out to dinner in the Burlington area Friday night into early Saturday morning, temperatures are only going to be getting down into the mid-40s, so pretty pleasant if you have to be out. Now, again on Saturday, it looked earlier in the period and early when we were putting the forecast together that we were going to be seeing more sun, and now it looks like it's going to be a little bit cloudier on Saturday. So we might have to knock about 5 or 6 degrees off of these high temperatures on Saturday, so expect highs probably in the mid-60s in the Burlington area, but still much better than what we've been seeing the past month or so. Sunday, temperatures are going to fall back a little bit more in the way of some showery weather, and temperatures only falling back into the upper 50s, so still nice. Now, Monday, we'll see the chance of some wet weather still in the forecast and temperatures falling well back down into the low 40s, so it's going to feel a little bit chilly out there. Nothing too harsh, but still pretty chilly, especially if you're going out early in the morning on going into Tuesday morning. Temperatures down in the low 20s. And then as we head towards the end of the period, we're going to see midweek, maybe a chance of some rain on Wednesday. But look at this. Our high is going to be creeping back up towards 60 on Thursday. So it looks like we have some real nice spring weather ahead. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
We make young champions happen. Yes, it's Friday night at the Fight. Billerica Elks, Friday, April 5th, 6 o'clock. 10 championship boxing matches. All night long, a boxing dinner, raffle prizes. You've got the details. Don't let me come and get you. Burlington Rotary Boxing at its best. Come visit the champions.
I'm Maddie Shipka, and this is your Community Calendar. Come in and show your support for autism. On Tuesday, April 2nd at 6 p.m., the town of Burlington will be having an event called Light It Up Blue at Grandview Farm. The event is a unique global initiative that kicks off Autism Awareness Month and helps raise awareness about autism. Join as Burlington lights the town common blue to promote awareness and acceptance. Everyone is welcome and the event is free. What are you going to do when an emergency situation goes awry? On Wednesday, April 3rd from 7 to 9 p.m., the Burlington Board of Health will be having a program called Until Help Arrives at the Murray Kelly Room at the Council on Aging. Participants will learn how to provide first aid and on-scene care to minimize injury or death in emergency situations. To register, call the BOH 781-270-1955. For more information, visit the website at burlington.org. Enjoy a day at a well-known New England casino. On Saturday, April 6th, the Burlington Community Scholarship Foundation will be having a day trip to Mohegan Sun. The trip is $75 per person. All proceeds will benefit the adopted class of 2021. Departure will be at St. Margaret's Church at 1:30 p.m. and will return at 11 p.m. For more information and to buy tickets, visit buytickets.at/BCSF. I'm Maddie Shipka, and this has been your Community Calendar.
Starting up, and the teams are practicing hard in anticipation of their first games and matches. One team that's training under the leadership of a new coach is the BHS Girls Varsity Tennis team. BNews reporter Robert Paris went to meet with the team at a recent practice and has this look.
The spring sports season is on the horizon as the girls' varsity tennis team headed to the courts for practice. A new face will be seen at Rahanes Park this year, Tony Moschetto, who was announced as the new head coach for the 2019 season.
So far, so good. I think one thing helping us out immensely is the weather cooperating. We've had, I think we missed one day because of rain, and then we were able to get indoor time. So that's been, that's unheard of, And, the weather this time of year, it's always, it's a dice roll. And I couldn't ask for a nicer bunch of girls, too.
Before the season began, Moschetto did some analysis on the team's previous season.
Well, what I did was I tried to do as much research as I could on the team. So I watched one of the videos that you produced with the team that interviewed, and so that was helpful. And just looking up some records online and reading old articles and stuff like that, just to kind of get familiar with who I was going to be working with.
As far as the players, they've already gave the new coach 2 thumbs up.
New dynamic, I guess. Yeah, I think especially going to my senior year, I was wasn't really sure about having a new coach. I mean, Sweeney was great. All of us loved him, and he really, personality-wise, brought a good atmosphere to the team and coach-wise. However, I think Tony has really stepped up, and he comes to practice prepared with drills that are going to benefit all of us. And so I think we've seen a really big difference in our practices, which is good. Also, I think what's good is bringing in a new coach. The girls are more motivated to compete and fight for a spot. So I think everybody, since our practice started, we haven't had one dull practice. Everyone's just been going head on and been fighting for a spot and to impress Tony.
It's good. I really like the coach so far and how he's handling things.
Yeah, I'm a freshman this year, so I don't really know what the other coach was like before, but I'm definitely excited to get to know this one.
I actually really like him. He's very nice. He's great with everybody. He's a really good coach. He really cares about us.
Finally, as the new season begins, Coach Moschetto and his players are ready to bring their skills onto the court.
This is a unique opportunity, to have players of this caliber, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing everyone play, competing, and seeing if we can, seeing what we can do. I definitely want to repeat, what they did last year, and try to go a little further if we can.
Lots of match play, in and out, lots of just lessons, a lot of hitting, just to keep the game going.
Yeah, I think also a lot of us, me and Liz especially, we're coming out of an indoor season, so one thing that we're focusing on is adjusting to the outside.
Yes.
And how to play with the wind and how to change your game up.
I'm excited to win. We had really good scores last year, and I think we're going to be able to pull it off again. I think we have a really good team.
I love playing tennis and just meeting new people because a lot of new girls joined the team, and I think it'll be really good to play with this team.
Tennis is super social, so I was really excited to meet new people and do something.
From Johannes Park, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Sports.
Thank you, Robert. Good luck to the girls' team. Well, it's another week, and we have another photo to highlight. This week we have a photo that is sure to have the wolves howling. It was sent in by Sushila Patel and shows the worm moon that occurred on Wednesday, March 20th, just under 4 hours after the vernal equinox, the moment when the length of day and night on Earth is nearly the same, marking the start of spring in the northern hemisphere and autumn in the southern hemisphere. So the moon was full when spring arrived. Thanks for the photo, Sushila. Hey, we'd like to see your photos. They could be of something you see around town, the weather outside your own door, or even photos of your family members and or pets. Whatever you think is interesting and would like to share. You can email your photos to bcat@bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. Well, that does it for the news this week. Thanks to Maddie Shipka on Community Calendar, Peter Brown for the weather, reporters Chris Flaherty and Robert Paris, and as always, our news director, Rich Hosford. And thank you to you for watching BNEWS Weekly. Join us again next week.